Shalom, Koholo Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them. They taught us this truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers that are pushing the word in truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. I'm the brother Yashawan, back with the WW3 Daily update. And shalom and salutations to you as well. We're going to keep this real short on a Tuesday. All right, and we're going to go into wars and rumors, how we do. Matthew 24 and 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Now, we have to go through all of this. Ain't no pre-tribulation rapture and all of that. You have to endure until the end. Okay? Matthew 24 and 13. But he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. People believe that being saved is to be raptured, right? And I mean, it's close but no cigar. There is no rapture. The word rapture is not in the Bible. To be caught up in the clouds, that's what it means to be saved. But that happens at the end. And this confirms it. But he that shall endure until the end of what? The end of the tribulation, Jacob's trouble, World War III, right? Right before the missiles hit. But he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. Okay? So, ain't no, oh, well, I don't have to go through. That's a lie. All right? Show me where it says that. You can't. I'll show you where it says this. Okay? Now, that's as far as we need. This word, rumors, is reports, is news, is threats. Okay? We usually go in and grab that, but we'll just jump right over here to Scott Ritter. This is yesterday, this is 2 days ago. Ukrainian troops are good at dying, and this is his opinion, but this guy is well informed, all right? He's been doing this for a while. So let's listen to him and what the judge, Napolitano, have to say. Let them give a little report of what's going on in Eastern Europe on the battlefront, so we can get some perspective, all right?
My next guest, of course, is our audience favorite, one of our audience's two favorites, the inimitable Scott Ritter, whose name, of course, Scott, was mentioned just a few minutes ago out of the lips of Jack Devine, that career CIA official who told our audience that the CIA steals secrets and keeps secrets, but it doesn't tell lies. Would anybody else in the CIA agree with that?
They'll agree with his duty and responsibility to make that statement, because one of the jobs of the CIA is to lie about what they do. Well, what is a cover story? It's a lie. When you work in a covered position, your life is a lie. Everything about it is a lie. If you're asked a question about your job, you lie, and that is something that carries on for your entire life.
Boom. Wars and rumors, news reports, and half of them are lies, rumors, propaganda, if you will. All right? So that's why you have to see these things with spiritual eyes. All right? It's the scripture that tells you what's going to happen without fail. All right? And Russia's going to win this war. All right?
So he's telling the truth, that he's lying about not being able to lie.
So their job is to lie about lying.
Their job is to make sure that anybody who doesn't have a need to know about the CIA doesn't know about the CIA.
All right. Jack also argued that Russia is losing, that this is Putin's folly, and that his relationship to the rest of the Russian government and to the Russian people will never be the same because of the mistakes he made entering Ukraine.
And that's a lie, right? Let's listen to that again. Russia's losing. Putin's folly. Didn't they just set up the lie?
All right. Jack also argued that Russia is losing, that this is Putin's folly, and that his relationship to the rest of the Russian government and to the Russian people will never be the same because of the mistakes he made entering Ukraine. And before you answer that, Putin himself, within the past couple of minutes, said the war is taking longer. We didn't use the word war. The special military operation is taking longer than we thought. So I just put those two entrees out there for you. You're Aaron Judge. I just threw the pitch. You hit it out.
Well, I mean, what is victory? I've said all along that the war is an extension of politics by other means. And we've talked about the economic aspects of this conflict, the political aspects of this conflict, and the military aspects of this conflict. If Jack Devine wants to sit here and make the argument that Ukrainians are winning militarily, I would say that he probably needs to go touch base with some military experts because that just isn't happening, Jack. The Russians have stabilized the battlefield, neutralized whatever advantages Ukraine had accrued in September, October, and are in the process of finalizing the massing of their military forces. There is a new dynamic. Just today, I had an interview with Konstantin Sipkov, who's a retired Navy captain, very prominent voice in Russia, closely linked to the inner circle of Putin. And he said something that was fascinating to me. He said that the Russians are very concerned right now about escalation management. That their concern is that if they go too fast on the battlefield, because now all the advantages, he agrees with me, every advantage is Russia's. Every advantage on the ground is Russia's. But he said if we go too fast, we may provoke NATO to intervene. And Russia doesn't want to provoke NATO to intervene. So Russia's in the business of escalation management right now. And I said, well, does that mean you're changing your definition of victory about denazification, demilitarization? And he, in effect, said yes. He says, well, that's still on the books. He says there's different ways to assess this. And one of the interesting things he said is that Russia can already claim a major victory. And this is something Putin said in his address. By the absorption of the territories that they already have, Russia can already claim a victory. And this is
where Jack claims the Ukrainians have an advantage. And you and I have talked about this. And you've fought in wars. You understand this better than anybody. Russia is filled with conscripts and with people who really either were misled about the purpose of and the reception they would receive by entering into Ukraine, or they don't give a damn. Ukraine forces will fight to the last drop of blood. It's a matter of honor. They're defending their homeland. And these are that is a value that Ukraine has that Russia will never have.
Well, obviously, he doesn't know anything about Russian history, and he doesn't know anything about the Russian military. To call the Russian military a conscript military is a falsehood. Fully 75% of their military are professional soldiers.
See how the propaganda and the rumors of war and the reports that are untrue, which is what a rumor is. Okay. So propaganda, all right? We'll listen to a little bit more and we'll go ahead and close.
We call them volunteers in the United States. There they call them contract soldiers. They sign a contract with the government just like our guys do. They get paid for their job. They're professional. The people that have been mobilized aren't conscripts. They're all people with prior military experience. They're reservists who have been mobilized just like we mobilized the National Guard, etc. Do they want to be there? I'm certain that if you take a poll, I remember during the Gulf War when they mobilized the reserves and the National Guard, and all the boys and girls that thought they were getting a free ride in college by joining the reserves suddenly went, what? We're going to be deployed for 6 months, go to the Gulf War? And they were reminded, yeah, that's what you do. And a lot of them were unhappy. A bunch of them didn't go. So if you poll Russians, will you find some Russians who say, I'm not happy about, of course you will. But the vast majority of the Russians, I believe, are akin to the American soldiers mobilized during World War II, who realized the quickest way home was by jamming a bayonet through the heart of the Nazi soldier. And the quickest way home for these Russian troops is to destroy the Ukrainian nationalists, and they are committed to it. But Jack, we're going to find out real soon, Jack. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and we got 175,000 more Russian troops ready to arrive on the battlefield. And when they happen, there's none left. Putin said, "We're not mobilizing anymore. This is it." And when they come, they ain't sitting on their butts.
Do the Russian troops have the esprit de corps, the spirit, the passion that the Ukraine troops have?
And more. Ukrainian troops are good at doing one thing right now: dying. They're dying in large numbers. The people that are doing the fight. Let's just be frank about this. The people that did the initial breaches of the Russian lines in September and October were not Ukrainians. They were mercenaries. Ukrainians don't have troops left capable of doing that. The people that exploited it were largely mercenary forces, Polish forces. There are some Ukrainian forces that have motivated. There's the nationalist troops who are very good at sitting behind the troops and shooting the territorials who try to run away from the battlefield. But the notion that the Ukrainian army is full of esprit de corps, dead people have no pride. They're dead. And the Ukrainians have a lot of dead people. So I don't know where you get the notion of, are they willing to die for their country? Not too many people in combat say, "Hey, right now is the time I decide to take the bullet in the head. Go ahead and shoot me." Those people in combat are going, "Damn, I want to get out of here."
Remember, this is George C. Scott as George Patton. So I don't know if Patton ever actually said this. Nobody ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making some other poor dumb bastard die for his country.
Well, Patton said that. I mean, what George C. Scott, that famous speech at the beginning of the movie, I believe was actually an amalgam of speeches that Patton had given over time.
Yes.
But they were his words. I mean, he said it.
All right, we'll leave it right there. All right, so you can only believe half of what you hear out of the mouth of an Edomite. Okay, so anyway, the war is going down. All right, and there will be more. So we'll close right here. Let's see. Go to Joel 3, like we do. Okay. And we'll just go right here. World War III is not going anywhere. It's going to escalate beyond Eastern Europe, and it's going to culminate in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay. Joel 3 and 2. I will gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat or Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. This is what we're going to see. All right. World War III is going to escalate until we see all the armies of the world in the Middle East. Okay. I will gather the armies of the world into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is in the Middle East. Okay. Greater Israel. Okay. The whole Middle East. This is going to be the last. This is the Battle of Armageddon. The last battle. This is what we're going to see. Right? Before that, we're going to see Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. This is World War III. All right? And this will be the last battle in World War III. All right? We see NATO. We see the UN. We see Babylon the Great going where? To Eastern Russia right now. I mean, to Eastern Europe right now. All right? We see in every theater in the South China Sea, they're preparing. We see in Syria, they're still fighting. In Ethiopia, they're fighting. Okay? North Korea is saber rattling. All right? So we see this happening right now. All right? Iran and the Israelis, India, right? Let's get that real quick. India attacks China, right? Where is that? Over on the border? 2 years, 1 year. This is today. India today. India versus China live news. Indian Army versus China. Wonder what they're saying. But see, this is the most current. See how they're hiding it? That's going on now. India and China. Watch live. Inside details how Indian Army chased back China. Okay? We're not going to go into it. Go watch it if you want. Okay. China came prepared with 300 troops. Updates on the India-China clash in Tawang 1 day ago. Okay? You see how this thing is ramping up? World War III. Let's get it on the way out. Revelation. These same scriptures are going to come out so that you understand. Just try to get you to understand. Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe was past, and behold, the third woe cometh quick. It's not World War III just yet, but we're seeing the beginning of it. The second woe is World War II, which is done already. Behold, the third woe, World War III, cometh quickly. All right? So with that, we hope that the electorate edify you brothers and sisters with that shalom.